For a meditative thought, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome to Sumter School District Board of Trustees Policy Committee meeting. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. This meeting is open to the public and the public is welcome to attend in person. All persons wishing to attend the meeting by virtual means may do so via YouTube Sumter School District Board Meetings and Sumter School District's Facebook page. Vision. Sumter School District is committed to educating, empowering, and enriching the lives of all students to reach their full potential. Mission. Sumter School District is committed to providing a safe, nurturing, and high-quality educational environment that supports diversity and equips students for local and global success. Your committee members are yours truly, Brian Austin, Chairman of the Policy Committee, Reverend Dr. Darrell McGaney in his absence, Ms. Cheryl Ray, and Dr. Gloria Lee. Our subcommittee members that's with us this evening is Ms. Adrian Singletary and Ms. Rosa Hilton. Staff with us this evening are Dr. Moore, Ms. Addison, and Dr. McLeod. Our superintendent, who is not with us this evening, Dr. Penelope Martin-Knox, and our administrative manager, who's not with us this evening, Ms. Amy Hanson, but we're being joined by Ms. Shelley Galloway. So again, welcome to the Sumter School District Policy Committee meeting, and we'll get started. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to look at the agenda, and without any objections, the agenda will stand approved. Any objections? Hearing none, the agenda stands approved. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, the policy committee minutes. Everyone had the opportunity to review those. And with no objection, those minutes will stand approved. Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved. Now we're down to the review of policies and possible amendments. The first item on the possible amendments to policies is policy ACB, Educational Equity, and sample policy ACA and ACA-R Equity. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Moore. And I'm sorry, Dr. Moore, before you start, I see that one of our subcommittee members, Dr. Gamble, has joined us as well.
Good evening, everyone. I am pleased to share a few updates. I'm going to share my screen very quickly. I just have a couple updates about equity. We've gone back and forth with the equity audit, and I know that that's some interest of the board to do the equity audit. So we went back and forth with several companies. The company that we selected is the Inside Education Group. And this particular group was one of the groups that we were interested in at the very start of this with the equity focus group within the district. As you can remember, we had one price for the equity audit, which is roughly $50,000 to get this started with the equity audit. We've negotiated with Inside Education Group. They have given us a much smaller price of $10,000 to do a smaller scale equity audit that we can build upon in years to come, and they're planning to work with us as far as creating a strategic plan related to the data that they collect, as well as working with our staff members and students to collect information on what their perceptions are about equity. And so we have had conversations with them, so right now they are finalizing the contract. We should get that, I'm expecting it before the close of this week. So they are finalizing the contract, and we'll have, of course, Jennifer Miller and Martin Knox to review that prior to signing on. I do want to cover a few things handout is just a quick one-page overview of what the audit is, based on what they plan to get accomplished with our school district. Now, this company has been around since the year 2000, and they have worked with several districts in South Carolina as well as the South Carolina Department of Ed to conduct equity work. So this document shows you their framework, and I'm going to try to make it bigger because I know that you may not be able to see this. But the model that they are using focuses on 5 different domains. And as you can see, the structure, system, and resources, culture and community, racial equity and the educator workforce, professional learning and personal growth, and the curriculum instruction and learning. Because we are doing a smaller scale equity audit, we plan to work with this team on the 3 of the 5 domains at a large scale and 2 of them at a smaller scale to build up later. So the structures, systems, and resources, culture and community, and racial equity and the educator workforce are the 3 domains that we tend to focus on heavily. And then we're going to layer in or come back to in subsequent years, hopefully, looking at our curriculum instruction and learning and our professional learning for our teachers and their personal growth. There will be some things that will happen with those other 2 domains, but on a smaller scale for this audit. If you scroll to the next page, you'll see what their process is. A lot of it will be document review, and so they've given me a list of different data pieces and documents to submit to them. Their team will kind of go through certain things such as our strategic plan, our equity policy that we have, different practices, meeting agendas, all of those things to start more of a desk audit, part of the equity audit for us. The second piece will be looking at stakeholder feedback. So they want to form some focus groups that will be comprised of district level leaders, school leaders, our school board members, community members, students, teachers, and staff. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of data as far as student achievement data, attendance data, a lot of things that are related to what happens with students that will be submitted to their team for review that will go into the audit. So right now, as far as the timeline is concerned, we're in that 2 weeks to 3 weeks prior to engagement. This is where they're doing some coordinating with me, just having discussions about what it should look like in our district, getting information informally about our district. Of course, we're completing the contract, and that's when we can dig into a lot more work where they're going to communicate the purpose and expectations and develop the engagement schedule. So after the contract is signed and official, we plan to start looking at some of the stakeholder groups and scheduling when the best time would be to have those focus group meetings with the community, with the school leaders, students, etc. And a lot of this will happen when we get into the next part of the beginning of the next school year, where we look at classroom observations, because there is a piece of this that would involve the classroom observations of our students and teachers. We're going to go, and I'm going to show you the logistics document as well. And I know this is a little small, I'll try to zoom this in for you. But as it relates to the logistics, essentially with this audit at this scale, we're looking at stakeholder engagement and data collection. As I said, they will be surveying district and building leaders, staff, students, parents, and caregivers. This document reveals the different focus groups that they would like to create with our executive leadership, HR, operations, and just the gamut of different groups that they would like to form. They would like to form at least 2 groups of community members to look at because we did talk about how we have our rural districts, our rural schools, and our communities, and also those community members that live within the city limits of Sumter. And then they're going to have individual interviews. So they do want to interview. I have explained to them that we are in the midst of organizational change and leadership change. They we're working with them, they also function as not only just collecting the data for us, but also acting as a consultant to guide us into what the best practices would be um, to respond to this data. After the equity audit is finished, they plan to request a meeting with our school board to review the results of the equity audit. But of course, when we get to that point, we'll be in communication with everyone to explain when that happens and decide on the best time for that. There is quantitative data that will be collected as well. And this document also has all of those different data pieces. A lot of it will be found in our district and school report cards, but we will also pull other information that will come directly from Power School and Enrich. So there's a lot of information. I do plan to share this. It's just one slide with this so that you can have some time to go back through it and see exactly what this will involve. And I'm open to entertaining questions from the committee. If there are any type of feedback that you would like for me to take back to this particular company.
I'll open the floor at this time for questions. In person, any questions? The guest that's joining us virtually, any questions? Hearing no questions, Dr. Moore, we want to thank you for your time in putting this together for us and for the update, and please commend your team for the work they've done as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Next on our agenda is 4.2, Administrative Review of Policies. Dr. McLeod, and I'll turn it over to you. Yes, please.
Administrative review of policies, IJNDAA, and its associated administrative rule concerns distance, online, and virtual education. This needs to be updated due to an amendment that occurred. It's the same case with IKACA and its administrative rule, which deals with parent conferences. That there has also been an amendment that this one actually references No Child Left Behind. So then when I saw that, I said, well, maybe I need to look and see if there's any other references to No Child Left Behind. And we did find several, so I will be bringing those forward. I'm requesting some model language for these two. But as Dr. Moore mentioned, part of our equity audit is going to be an audit, the review of the board policy manual. And we have quite a few policies that are still from 2011. Now, that's not to say that there's something wrong with it being 2011, but that is a great deal of time. They need to be reviewed, and we are actually very fortunate that Dr. Sarah Longshore from the Office of Federal and State Accountability has recently, in the last couple of years, started a division within her office that is for support of schools and school districts. And having met her, and Dr. Moore has met one of the team members, the division is called the Innovation and Support Team within the Office of Federal and State Accountability. And they work with a few districts a year, possibly more, to just provide support. Our team will have Mr. Basil Harris, who has been a teacher, building administrator, district administrator. He's been part of federal programs for years. Pat Cincintelli, who was also a teacher, a building administrator, a superintendent and then Mr. Gerard Edwards, who has been a teacher and building administrator. And we were given the opportunity to try to streamline the use of our federal funding and to streamline some of our procedures. And they too have made the recommendation that it would be highly recommended for the policy manual to be audited either by our legal counsel or by the School Board Association. So that's why I was bringing that forward to you tonight.
Okay. So I do have a question. So with the policies that you mentioned, the ones concerning distant and online virtual education and the parent conferences, are those just examples of the policies that need to be updated?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any questions based on Dr. McLeod's?
Yes, are you going to have the other policies that you were referenced to for us to look at as well? Because you said there were some other policies that you had.
I can bring those forward.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
It's a lot.
Okay.
And I'm not saying they're not still applicable, but it's good practice that they be reviewed
Okay.
In a cyclical manner.
Okay.
And with the turnover we've had, some of them have not been reviewed since the 2011 inception.
All right.
Any questions from those joining us virtually? And Ms. Loney, welcome to the policy committee meeting. Any questions based on the administrative review of policies by Dr. McLeod? Okay. Hearing none, we can move on to 4.3. And Dr. McLeod, you actually just opened the segue for us because it is my proposal to this body that we allow SCASPA to do a policy manual audit because there are several policies that have not been updated since consolidation. And with some recent changes in laws and regulations, those policies definitely need to be updated to make sure that we're in compliance as a board and as a district as well. So is that one of the recommendations that we can take forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that on purpose.
Thank you. Now we're down to 4.4. Ms. Addison, would you please join us for the discussion of open enrollment?
Good afternoon. Just to go over how we're doing open enrollment this year, if I could ask Ms. Shelley to pull up our district website, will that work? Currently, open enrollment is online only this year. I think it's going well. To date, we have received 304 online applications for open enrollment. We've received 26 out-of-zone applications. Our request for release from the district is also online, and we've received 10 applications. Parents are able to go to our district website and access all of our applications. On our district website, from our home page, you'll see our open enrollment flyer. Open enrollment is May 1st through May 31st. During that time frame, we will collect all applications. And then after May 31st up to June 10th is when we will email out decisions to parents. On our website, you can see there is a form for open enrollment eligibility. And Shelley, if you don't mind clicking on that form for either middle or high. That form is based on the meeting that principals had with that determined their projected enrollment for the upcoming school year, as well as their teacher capacity. If they had a grade level that was already at the 25-to-1 ratio, it is listed as closed, and this is prior to open enrollment. The grade levels that had some space based on the projections next year is listed as open. So parents are able to see which grade levels at each school is open for them to submit an application and which grade levels are closed. Once a parent submits the application, they will receive an automatic email letting them know that their submission has been received. It then comes to our platform so that we can review the application. There's also a frequently asked question guide on our district website that allows parents to see the eligibility requirements for open enrollment as well as out of zone. Out of zone is based off of a hardship, and so there is a link there for parents to be able to upload any supporting documents to support their hardship. Okay, are there any questions for me regarding the process?
Ms. Addison, could you go back over those numbers again the 26, the outer district and?
Sure. We have received 304 open enrollment applications, 26 out of zone applications, and out of zone is based off of a hardship. And we've received 10 requests for release out of our district to date.
Could you explain the difference between open enrollment and hardship?
Yes. So according to our policy, open enrollment, parents are able to apply to a school who may have a program that is not offered at their zone school. And out of zone is based off of a hardship.
Any questions? Ms. Wright?
You just,
What constitutes a hardship?
Ms. Maloney, we're going
that's okay, because that was one question I was going to ask.
okay.
There is not currently an established criteria for a hardship. Once parents submit a form, it is looked at on a case-by-case basis. We do have a committee that will then review the application to determine if it is indeed a hardship that we cannot fulfill as a district.
Have we addressed what we're doing with employees' children?
I did bring that as a suggestion tonight. According to Board Policy JFABC, it does state that employees, as it relates to our intra-district transfers, that they can apply for it. And it does state that if a child, it says students or boards of persons employed at least half-time daily in a school district may attend a school at a facility where the parent or guardian works. If the child is assigned to a grade not taught at the employee's school, the district may assign the student to the nearest logical assignment. Right now, employees do apply for open enrollment. The suggestion that I would like to bring forward is that maybe we incorporate an employee transfer application versus having them to go through the open enrollment process. Because as it states here with the board policy, their students can attend the school that they're zoned for, that the employee works at, but if a parent is requesting a school that they do not work at, according to our board policy, as I understand it, the district may assign the student to the nearest assignment. And my suggestion is to maybe probably change that to allow employees to request any school within the district.
Yes, I'm in total agreement with that. I'd like to see us look at that.
And that's a form.
It is currently not a form right now, but I could create an application.
Okay.
There are several school districts who do have separate employee transfer applications outside of an open enrollment or out-of-zone request. And so that will then separate the two.
Okay.
It will treat an employee as if you are living in the area. And so as an employee of the district, the entire district will be your zone, and they could have selection.
Okay. Any questions from those joining us virtually? Any additional questions in person? And Ms. Addison, we can task you with starting to work on that form as we take this back to the full board for further discussion.
Sure.
Okay.
Is there a deadline?
As soon as possible, please.
No problem.
Because I know that our parents and staff would like to have that opportunity for the upcoming school year. So if that's something that we could work on and hopefully get approved by the board to move forward with.
Okay, I'll have it for you tomorrow too.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we're now down to steps moving forward. 5.1, recommendations to the Board of Trustees. And so the two recommendations that I have listed, and you all help me if I omit something, is the SCASBA policy manual audit or review, so that we can update our policy manual as a district. And what Ms. Addison just brought up for open enrollment when it comes to employee transfers for their students. And I guess we would also need to look at, and this is under 5.2, policies for further or future discussion by the policy committee. I guess we would need to take it back to the full board as well, the policy when it comes to open enrollment,
Okay.
to make sure we revise the wording in that as well. Is there anything that,
I have a question.
yes, Ms. Brown?
With the equity audit and that sort of thing, are we gonna present that, are they gonna present that to the full board, or we need to address that with the board also?
Yes, I would take that back as information to the board.
Okay.
But for that presentation that Dr. Moore spoke of, I think it's best that that goes to the full board.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments from those joining us virtually? Okay. So once again, we have recommendations to the full board. Will be the SCASBA policy manual audit and review, and the employee transfer for form or application for district employees when it comes to open enrollment. And policies for further or future discussion by the policy committee will be the policy surrounding open enrollment. And we will take for information back to the full board the update for the equity policy and audit. Okay. If there's no further business of the body, then thank you to our staff and to our subcommittee members and our committee members for joining us for this policy committee meeting. It's always a pleasure to meet with you all and know that you are taking a part in the governance of our school district. So thank you once again for your time. And if there's no further business, this meeting is now adjourned at 6:29 p.m.
Right. Y'all did wonderful.